The changing landscape of the housing market in Las Vegas requires a real estate professional that understands how to get your offer accepted, willing to go above and beyond for service and accountability. Hi, my name is Dan French. I've been in the real estate and financing industry for over 13 years. Most real estate agents struggle with answering their phone. Please call me directly, 702-557-6176. I'm available for all your real estate needs.
Dan's a fantastic man. He really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
What's going on, everybody? It's Dan French. This is the French Workbench Podcast here on a Tuesday. I have a full studio. Couple of familiar faces. As always, I got my beautiful Esmeralda Lucia across from me. What's going on today, Esmeralda?
What's up?
What's going on? What's happening in your world?
All kinds of good stuff is always happening.
Did you party this weekend or what? Did you go hang out? Like, what were you doing?
I actually did not hang out. That's why. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't hang out this weekend, but I will for Labor Day.
You will for Labor Day. What do you got going on for Labor Day? What's happening?
I'll be out of town.
Where are you going? You going to the lake? I mean, what are you doing?
I'm going to San Diego.
You going to Lake Mead?
No.
Looking for bodies. You going out of town to Lake Mead?
Yeah, no. There's nothing wrong with Lake Mead, but no.
Are you sure about that?
At Lake Mead?
No.
No, where are you going though?
San Diego.
San Diego. That's a beautiful area. I think it's the best, most beautiful area in California. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion. Everybody might have a different opinion. Also, we have a couple of guests here that I want to introduce. We have first Andy Papazian. He's a appraiser, right? What's going on, Andy?
Just hanging out, enjoying the slow times, and just kicking back.
The slow times, huh?
Okay.
Man, it's crazy. So you haven't been really doing a lot of assignments, huh?
It's about 50% right now.
Really? So like, what do you do? Like, if you're not working, I mean, do you have other activities? Like, what do you do in Vegas?
Drive around.
Drive around. Do you do any sports betting? I mean, what do? You watch sports, or what do you do?
No.
No?
Only the Golden Knights.
The Golden Knights? Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Not on right now,
So Andy's here. He's going to talk a lot about what's happening in the market, and also he's going to give his opinion on what's going on. Also with Mr. Steve DeLois. DeLois. Oh, I said that completely wrong. That's okay. Steve DeLois.
That's okay. Looks French too. You could say.
That's right, man. What's going on? KB Home.
KB
not
Home.
Homes.
There you go.
Not Homes.
Not Homes.
Not what's up,
I'm
Homes.
your Homes boy.
Yeah, KB Home. What's going on?
Not much. Good to be back.
Yeah, man. So what's going on out there in the new home sector? You guys.
Well, Andy and I are hanging out now.
Are you now?
Yeah, things have slowed down.
See? So you guys are just hanging out. You guys are like, hey, man, we'll time this thing out.
We go driving together.
It'll come back, first quarter of 2023. We'll see you then. Right? So what's going on? You got. So I want to talk a little bit about what's happening. So you guys know this is the most real behind-the-scenes information on financing, real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs. We do bring entrepreneurs in here in Las Vegas. I'm your host, Dan French, and we're streaming live. And we're going to talk today about what's happening with inflation. We're going to talk about what's happening in the new home sector and what's going on with KB Home, not Homes, and see what's going on with buyers and sellers and some of the challenges that they're going through in today's market. So I want to talk with, we'll start off with Steve. So Steve, I want to say thank you for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you as well. Andy, thanks for coming on to the show. I want to bring up, so let's talk a little bit about what's happening in the new homes. What do you see out there? Is this starting to really tighten up and slow down for you guys?
Personally, I can say that it's slowed down traffic-wise. I think the buyers that are in the market are serious buyers, but there's a lot of people, I think, on the sideline.
Okay.
There's still people out there not pulling the trigger as quick as they were before. I mean, what was it, 6 months ago, we were doing waiting lists.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now people are just hesitating. It's not anything that anybody's done. It's just the general economy, the fear that's out there of where are the interest rates going, where are the prices going, and that's all starting to normalize. I think there's a correction happening that people are waiting for that correction to go as low as it can. But usually what happens is the prices start to go up and they're late. That's my opinion. Zooming. There we go.
So you guys know, I just wanted to fix that camera for him real quick. So anyways, so you guys, I see out there what's happening in this market. I see that buyers are out there. They are out there looking and trying to get any opportunity they can. So I'm going to go down this road, and I don't really want to go too far down this road, but I want to bring up what I see and the psychological impact people have on housing affordability and also inflation and what they're doing to, I would say, combat any opportunity once they're in a contract, especially for a new home or even in the, the resale sector. So there's a lot of buyers out there that are looking at new homes. They're not committed to any lender that I see. They're not committed to anything that goes on because they're really waiting to see about the best opportunity. They hear out there that it's a struggle right now. So what are builders doing? They're throwing everything in the kitchen sink to try to get these buyers to work with everybody that's on the team, which is completely fine. But I think that when you look at this market, you're starting to see an influx of people out there that are looking to save money any way that they can. It's not really a market now about just, it's a part of affordability, but it's also a market about how do we save our payment on our payment? How do we save money, right? How do we save money with the builder? Are they going to give us closing costs? Now you're seeing that, a lot of people are walking away from these homes, so they have move-in ready homes. Are you guys seeing that on your side of it, where you guys have a ton of move-in ready homes right now?
Well, we have a different business practice where we don't necessarily build spec homes and try to sell those within a 3-4 month period. We have some move-in ready homes, but we're more of a personalization business model where you can buy a plan and personalize it the way you want it, and it takes a period of time for that process to take place. There are other builders out there that they'll say, okay, well, this lot's going to get this house and it'll be ready in 3 months and you can close.
Yeah, but I mean, I think there's a lot of pushback where people don't know if this is the right time to buy. And what I mean is I'm getting a lot of buyers out there that are going and working with me and they're like, hey, let's do this, let's do that. Let's put an offer, whatever you want to do, or talk about rate or whatever it is. But it's like, hey, I'm all in. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking about it, man, this is a big payment. We have the highest payment that we've ever had, right? Because we have the highest housing prices we've ever seen. Rates are still north in some ways of close to 6%, right? You look at the Freddie Mac and you go to rates on the Freddie Mac website, you're sitting at like 5.5 with an 8 of a point discount. So that's almost a point cost. So there's a lot of factors that people want to get into this market, but I also see that they have reason not to, and they seem like they're talking themselves out of going into this market altogether. Are you guys seeing a lot of people walking away from new homes right now?
Personally, no, I haven't seen a lot of it yet. I hear of it. We're making affordable options for buyers so that they can get in. You'll see a lot of different financing options coming up, not just now, but in the future. There'll be more of that coming up with all builders, with all financing. Such as the 10-1 ARMs, the 7-1 ARMs, things like that. And they're changed and different from what they were 15, 20 years ago. You can go and get an ARM and, basically it's an interest-only loan where every year it would adjust based on the LIBOR or whatever it's going to be factored on. And those things would adjust every year, and you had a prepayment penalty. Mm-hmm. You couldn't get out of it. Those things are changing. They're a little different now because they're trying to make financing affordable. And those are the two things that any developer can't control is cost of labor and goods or the financing side. Those are the things we have no control on.
I'm going to push back a little bit. I'm going to say this. So I can see it. I know, right? I can see it from a buyer's perspective of why you wouldn't buy in this market. So there's a pros and cons. And what I like to do is bring people in that are in the industry. They understand the market. They understand at your level, you've had a lot of experience here in the housing sector. I can make an argument that, yeah, it sounds great that I'm getting all of these closing costs and this, buy down on my rate and all these things that the builders are offering. But still, does it feel like, hey, you know what? I'm missing out, because I get it all the time where people are like, well, I'm going to wait to see what happens in 3 to 6 months because I think the market's going to keep coming down or it's going to tank or whatever people think out there. I don't feel that that's going to happen. But what are your thoughts on it? I mean, can you make an argument that this is really not a good time to buy a house?
How many times have you gone to a store, seen something on sale, say, I'm just not going to get it today. I'll come back and get it, and it's not on sale when you go back, right? You hesitate in the real estate market, you lose. There's no reason why you shouldn't buy a house. You have to make sure it's the right payment for you. The interest rates change. You can always refinance. I think people have gone from being in a home 10 years down to 7 years. Pretty soon it's probably going to be down to 5 years with the way things are going. But if you say that this is a bad time to buy, I'm going to wait, by time you pull that trigger, it's going to be too late. Prices are going to go back up. Interest rates might go back up. Anything can happen. So why are you hesitating? Are you hesitating because it's not a financial decision? Or are you hesitating because it's too much a financial decision?
Well, and that's a good point. So let's talk about this. And Andy, you could bring this up. I want to kind of bring you in on this. So we know that this symposium happened, right? The Jackson Hole Symposium happened in Wyoming. And we had them come out and say, when I say them, the Fed, or you want to say Powell, right? Yeah. Jerome Powell came out and stated that, hey, you know what? We see inflation coming down. This is monetary policy, right? We see that some of the inflation starting to come down, but we're still not at that 2% mark. 1/3 of the economy is housing sector, right? Of what they make up. And you still see housing and rents and mortgages and costs of shelter still very high. We still see high prices of homes stabilize, and they've actually increased. Not sales, but prices of homes have stabilized, the home price. And so I'm looking at this going, well, you have inflation on the outside. They're going to raise the Fed's fund rate again. There's going to be, that's going to be the third time, right? And what they had it in June and July. And so they're going to really slow the economy. But what they're saying is that there's going to be casualties. People are going to get laid off, right? People are going to go get laid off, and then they're not going to have a job. And hey, that's part of, maybe your business slowing down or people not working, but we have to get the bigger elephant in the room, which is inflation, right? They got to bring that down. So they're going to do that. I think they're going to raise the Fed's fund rate. They didn't come out and say it, but your position on this is that, okay, if the economy slows down, I know people right now that I'm working with are backing out of doing a deal altogether, not just because of job security, but you just see the economy slowing, and guess what happens in people's mind? They start to fear. Right? Fear is happening where, oh man, I don't know. Is the economy going to, sustain itself? Can I make this mortgage payment? Are you guys thinking that maybe this is going to be a concern if they raise the Fed's fund rate here up in September, right? In the next month? Because I think that right now we're slowed down, but are we going to continue to slow even more if you see this happening? I mean, because I think the economy slowed down. I know that the housing sector, we're over 11,000 homes, supply and demand, right? We have way more homes on the market now than we ever did. The demand is still there, but you're still seeing these houses sit. And it's because people have options now, right? And so with that happening, do you feel like we're going to continue to keep seeing this increase with the housing numbers and also the inventory numbers? Because we're over 11,000 total homes on the market right now. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, definitely. Excuse me. Definitely, I think we're moving towards a buyer's market right now. In fact, I brought something with me. It's I get this from a title company. Basically, right now, they have a market action index. Right now, that index is at 38.
Okay.
Basically, what that means is anytime we're below, 40, I think it's 48 or something, or close to 40, it becomes, you're into a buyer's market territory. And that's where we're heading. Right now, we're seeing listings they're listing them. Here's, for example, the median list price used to be like $510 just recently. The new median list price is now $35,000 less.
Isn't that amazing? And how long ago was that?
No, this is just recent.
Right. It's like within a few months. It's like it just fell off a cliff.
Right. And the price reductions on listings, it's 57%.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So,
but this is in reaction to what's happening to the market, though.
So here's my question about it. Have you guys ever, including you, Esmeralda, have you ever seen a market have this much, I would say, change in such a short time period? Where it was at this level, we saw this market, let's say we did a little bit in 2005, 6, right? But where it just, the water shut off, right? It's just... I see it out there.
Happened on a dime.
Yeah, it's like, man, and you got people in the business, 27, 30, 35 years going, I've never seen this before, right? And it's just, I get it. We talk a lot about Las Vegas. I think this is happening across the country as far as just, looking at how many people or how many homes are on the market and the slowness of what we see. In Las Vegas, I thought it would be the outlier. But let's be honest. I mean, it's really slowed down for a lot of people out there. And you have buyers out there that, may have buyer's remorse and they back out of the deal, right? And we see that. Some people want to time it out. So, looking at this situation, right? And what you were talking about, Do you feel that the market is going to continue to keep going down? What do you think about what's going to happen here?
Well, it's definitely adjusting, and it's reacting to everything that is happening, like inflation. Gas prices are still way up there. So a lot of it has to do with, well, in the mortgage industry, for example, when you go to qualify, you don't just look at what your payment is going to be. You're looking at what your expenses are as well, right? Income to debt ratio.
It's that, but I'm going to say this: beyond everything, your debt to income ratio is important. But beyond everything, I think it's people are payment sensitive, and let's be honest. Like, I don't want to be mortgage broke. So to get into a house today, right? $500,000 median price home, right? On average, you got what? What did you say? $465, I think, is what it is. All of that, that's a $2,500.
That's right.
Mortgage, right?
Yeah.
And now you have people seeing that the economy's slowing down. It's a little scary. And I think that's why people are backing out. Plus, they want to see what's going to happen. I think there's a lot of curiosity out there about what is the outcome of this thing, right? We've never seen this. We can't tame inflation, right? They know that the housing sector's still on fire.
Sure.
Not like it was, but it's still high. They don't want it this high. That's the reason why they're probably going to have to raise the Fed's fund rate again, because they have to still tame that inflation. Like I said, 1/3 of the housing market is 1/3 of the GDP, gross domestic product. So I don't know. Like, I don't think that, if you ask me, I would say, well, it's a case by case. But I'm asking you guys, like, have you seen a market where you've been in a position like this, where you have the highest rates ever, not ever, but that we've seen, let's say, in the last 10 years, and then the highest prices we've ever seen? And that's a combination that I think most people haven't seen. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, there's very unusual circumstances that have happened in the past couple of years that have created a lot of this, from trying to save a world economy from a pandemic and trying to stimulate an economy coming out of a pandemic, that you flood the market with all this money and then people get punch drunk from it. And of course, the real estate industry was benefactor to that. I mean, we've seen home sales double, triple in sales, 20, 30% in a couple of years. Now we're leveling down to 15, 20%. We'll level down to 5 and 10% again. And we'll have normal value increasing 5 and 10% at the most. Whereas, I've got $200,000 in equity in my home.
So do you think it's going to get worse before it gets better? I feel that the fourth quarter is going to be
absolutely
terrible.
Nah, it's good. Well, I just read an article today, and I think it was on CNBC, about they're predicting rates for mortgages will hover around 4.5 in 2023.
So, and that's a good question. Now I want to bring this part of it up is, yes, that might be true, but there's been a lot of feedback that the Fed doesn't want to do the whole buying into bonds again and cutting rates again. That's what I've heard. They were saying that they don't want to put themselves back in that market where it's that artificial market buying into bonds to suppress the rate. They want to just kind of let things settle as they settle. They don't want it to go too crazy, but they want it to be right around, I think it's going to be right around that 5%. Have you heard anything different, Andy?
No, not on that end, no.
But that's a good interest rate, though. It's the prices have to come in line with that. So the first-time home buyer has been squeezed out of the market due to pricing. Pricing has increased due to supply and demand, where you can't get these supplies at a comfortable price to make your prices affordable to people. So the demand has gone up, the supplies have gone down. It's opposite for basic marketing.
I would agree, but here's my thing, and this is the theory on this, is that yes, it's not a bad rate. Like, we've seen rates in 2018 hit close to 5% here, right? Mm-hmm. But when you combine that with the prices of homes today, right? That's the challenge. And then you don't have the wages or the earnings going at the pace,
adjusting to it,
not just with inflation,
right,
but just in the pace of sustaining everyday household affordability. Yeah. And I think that's the problem, is housing affordability is going to continue to be a problem. I mean, I don't know what you guys see as far as how people look at this market, but I feel like this market is really a dynamic market where you're still seeing some buyers come out of state and still buy a house. Everybody else feels like they've retracted. We got a ton of homes on the market, but yet we're still holding and sustaining our price point. Even though we came down 35,000, I mean, that's a big deal. But I would feel that as far in how fast we've gone, where you see that the drop happens so quick, so fast, and how many homes are on the market, you would see more of a retraction and less people buying. I'm not saying there's a ton of people out there buying, but it does present a challenge because you have supply and demand. You have over 11,000. I think we're going to hit 15,000 because I still feel that we still need more time to slow down. This market's going to be completely dead, I feel. I mean, at least slowing to a point where, when are people going to have that confidence to get back into buying in this house, into houses in this market here?
When they start paying $3 or less for gas, when they go to the grocery store and don't spend $100 on 2 bags of groceries. Because if they're having to choose between a mortgage payment and feeding their kids, of course they're going to stay with feeding their kids. But you've got the rental market squeezing them now.
Yeah.
So now the rental market's coming up. It used to be rents were typically, on average, close to a mortgage or less than a mortgage.
Right.
That you didn't have to worry about it. You could still rent a place. But now they're getting just as expensive as a mortgage. And what are those people going to do? And where's the houses for them? You say the inventories are up, but so's the population. I just learned that from your show this weekend.
That's right.
Great dynamic.
Hey man, you're watching me.
Yeah,
dude,
I got
love
my eye on you.
So I want to say this. So at the state level, what do? Right? So you can maybe change zoning, right? Maybe change the zoning. Maybe put more dense properties in a dense area where you can put more housing. Maybe you have more duplex, triplex, fourplex homes that you can come into play with. But there's things that you can do, but there's only so much. I think on the local level, on the local level you can do that. On the state level, you can make maybe getting into an application a bit easier, like an application for getting into financing. Maybe you offer more programs. So there's things that the state and the local levels can do. Do you feel like they're going to even intervene with that? Like, are they going to come in and say, hey, we're going to help out because we know that on the local level, we need more housing. We need more places for people to be harbored. They need more, like, for instance, they have, first time I saw this, homeless people have an opportunity. It's downtown where they put together this old motel where they can go and stay there. That's pretty cool.
That's
right?
one of my clients. Does it.
Yeah. And that's pretty cool. Right. So, I mean, couldn't they think of something like that if it gets too out of whack?
Well, I'm not going to get political, but if you have state involvement, anytime you have any kind of governmental involvement, it's just going to make matters worse. I think the private sector can provide those kinds of things. As you said, it's one of your clients is doing good benefactor work in the community. It's a squeeze all the way around, and it's tough, but it's basic marketing concept. If you cannot increase the supply to meet the demand, you're going to have overinflated pricing. And it's not just inventory of homes. It's from a developer standpoint, you got to buy lumber, you got to buy land, you got to buy utilities, you got to buy all these things. And if those prices have tripled and quadrupled in the past couple of years, people are in business to make money. You know what I mean? They're not in business to lose money. So you have to get that under control. And if you can't get that under control, those prices are going to stay up there, combined with the demand increasing because population growth, whatever it may be. You can't control everything, but you have to control the supply side. You say you've got 10,000 homes, boom. Why aren't people buying homes? Is it the interest rate? No, you've got 10,000 homes, but you've also got twice the population, like you said. So why aren't these people buying homes if that's the case? They can certainly afford them if they're moving here. Why are they moving here?
I think the psychological position people are in today is they're uncertain. And
they're uncertain they're going to lose money. They're doing it from a business perspective. When I first bought a home, I didn't buy a home because I thought, well, geez, in 5 years it's going to be worth $200,000 more. I bought a home because I needed shelter for my family and I wanted to have a place that's stable and I can grow my family in.
Well, let's say this, though. It's fear, too. So, look,
it's fear from a business decision.
From a business
Not an
decision.
emotional decision. It's a business decision.
Right.
I'm getting into it. Is my house going to be worth the same in 6 months? If I move in and it collapses like it did in 2008 and I'm underwater $200,000, I mean, come on. People are afraid of that.
Okay, and I agree with that. Like, people don't forget.
Yeah,
right?
they don't.
Were you in this market during that time?
Yeah, I lost a couple homes.
So
the market tanked.
So in your position, are you constantly thinking about that? Especially, you just bought a home about 6-8 months ago. Was that in your mind? Like, am I buying at the peak, and am I going to go into the same market?
Mine was a little different. I had investments that would sustain that. So to me, I looked at it more as a wash versus because I'm withholding that property I'm not getting rid of it.
So she's talking from a business perspective.
Yeah. So
I lost everything when the market crashed, divorced, the house, everything. So I just bought a house a little over a year and a half ago. First house I bought since I crashed. let me tell you, my fear was inside me, shaken. I
Yeah.
was nervous. Am I doing the right thing? Did I buy at the right time? Yeah, okay, great. I benefited from it.
So think about this. You're in the market every day.
I'm a
You're
consumer
in the
too, though.
trenches.
I'm a
Well, here's the
consumer.
difference. You're in the trenches. You do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
You're very educated in this market. Yet you still have uncertainty, right? And I think heightened uncertainty with people out there that have no clue of buying a house. I think that's the problem with today is that people are like, wow, I saw this in 2005, 6, and 7.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be in this position again. So am I making the right decision? Is this thing going to tank? Monetary policies involved. We have inflation. I mean, this is a lot to take in. Like you're digesting a lot of things out there on the market, right? I mean, what do you think? You think the same, right?
You know, I look at all factors, but I don't want to, like, yes, there's things that are happening, but you got to always think about, like, what is your purpose? And I like to think I live in abundance, and I don't like to think, like, I'm living in a mindset, like, I'm going to lose. I think there's circumstances and things that we can work around, and I think sometimes if there's not, then we're just going to have to, you know, like, 2004 was not, no one knew what that was going to be like. I think everybody got hit like a bomb. And, but I think that we learned, right? You learned, and, you know, I made some adjustments in case that did happen. I didn't know it was going to happen like this, but we don't know what the outcome might be. Sure. We might level out, and we might not even hit that. We might just,
Well,
know what I mean?
for me, I look at it as people want to do business with people they know, like, and trust, right? That's always been out there. I don't think that's gone away, but I also think that people have to look out for their own best interests. And I'm starting to see that a lot of people are trying to do that. Meaning, look, you're a real estate agent out
Because
there.
there's no trust anymore.
Well, it's the trust, but it's also this, is that opportunity keeps knocking, right? There's something else that some other builder or some other lender or somebody else is trying to promote, because we're in a dog-eat-dog world right now. Everybody's fighting for scraps, right? And you're competing against other builders. I'm competing against other realtors and everybody out there that's in this industry. You guys have to think that, you know, any little advantage that you can get, people are savvy now. They have the internet at their fingertips. They can go out and look at different things and say, well, this person or this company is, this builder is offering this lender's doing this. Are you doing that? Because I'm going to jump over here. I don't think it's necessarily about a likability thing. They wouldn't work with you if they didn't like you. They're looking out for their own best interests, and they're going to be quick to drop you or run to a different position. Same with builders, right?
Well, the incentive game I'm not a big fan of. And, I think value is more important than incentive. A lot of people that I see come in and say, well, they're offering this, they're offering that. What are you offering? That doesn't mean they're giving you something for free. I'll give you okay, I'm going to pay your closing costs, right?
Yep.
I'm going to give you a 5% interest rate, but your APR is at 5.5%. Why is that? You've been in financing? Tell me.
Because
Why is
your
my APR
costs
higher?
are higher.
Why? What costs are you referring to?
Your closing costs.
So the $8,000 you're giving me is now wrapped into that loan that I'm paying for, but you're telling me you're giving that to me? What's the reality there? Come on.
Exactly.
That's where most people are not educated. And that's
100%.
where I want people, when they walk in my door, I want them to understand, yeah, there's an incentive over there, but what are you really getting? Are you looking at and they're like, oh, no, I didn't know that. Do me a favor, go look at your APR and come back and talk to me.
Crushed
And
it.
if that APR
Yep.
is a quarter point higher than what you're being quoted, guess what? They're padding it into your loan.
You know what's funny is I don't even think people know what APR stands for.
You're right. But that's to my point is the average. We've learned because we're in the industry and we've crashed with the industry.
Yeah.
But I'm a consumer too. And let me tell you, I had to learn out of survival. I had to learn those things.
Well, look, I get it. I mean, Andy, so I want to talk a little bit about your situation. I mean, you looked at these markets. You've been in this industry. You've been in real estate, right?
Yep. For many years. Yeah.
What do you think about this real estate market today? I mean, what's so dynamic or different about other markets?
Well, for one thing, going back to what happened in 2005, 6, 7, 8, whatever, that situation was driven by a completely different set of circumstances. A lot of people were buying homes as a business. They own 3, 4,
They still
5.
are.
Yeah.
Well, they still are, but that was a little bit different because we had the interest-only loans. the non-qualifying loans and stuff. All that stuff is
Ninja
gone away.
loans.
The state,
Ninja.
Yeah.
the
So
non-state.
right now the demand is basically created because of a lot of people are moving here from different states and so forth. And also don't forget, a lot of people are paying cash for these homes. So the demand is still there. The amount of people qualifying may be lower, but the demand is still there. Right?
So if I walk into a builder, you're absolutely right. And you guys can talk about this together. If I walked into a builder and I'm like, okay, I mean, look, it's very challenging today, but I walk in and say, hey, I want to buy a house. What's different about today's market? I mean, you see the prices declining. Do you have move-in ready homes? I know you said spec homes you don't have. You have move-in ready homes where people have dropped out, where people can actually go in there and get a deal.
Honestly, that happens, but that's a needle
rare.
in a haystack. Yeah,
Really?
Well, I don't want to say it's rare. It may happen more as the time goes by.
Yeah.
Lately, but no, I don't think it's rare. But to wait for that opportunity for what savings? What are you getting for that? I mean, when you can, with me, I'll say, in my opinion, you could build a home exactly the way you want it, personalize it the way you want it. Waiting for someone else's home that maybe Andy likes green walls and purple countertops,
Right.
you know? Why should I buy his home because he couldn't qualify or couldn't close on it?
Yeah.
You know, just to get into a home? Well, if you are educated a little bit and plan a little better and think about what your purpose is, okay, you may be able to dominate in the marketplace as a regular consumer. I think what Andy's challenge is, and he's done it before in 08 and 09, I'm sure, when you do appraisals and you're in a declining market, what's going to happen to those people in contract that no longer can afford that home? Because not only are they in a declining market, but now the interest rates are going up. So what do? Do they have more cash in the pocket? No, but you got a cash buyer coming in, paying cash for the home. He may save that appraisal because he may pay that premium. So there's a lot of factors that can take place. However, the main thing is you have to talk to your buyer. You have to talk to that consumer. You have to educate that consumer and let them know what the true value of home ownership is. It's not, hey, it's going to be my ATM in the next 5 years. I mean, I've got people coming in, they got so many toys, so many things that they've got on their debt load that they don't qualify. They have to get rid of that stuff. They have to pay debt down. You know, I see people making $100,000 a year driving a $100,000 truck. I mean, does that make sense?
No.
Yeah. You know, the consumer needs to learn a little bit that home ownership is not about making money. It's about truly home ownership. And what's your purpose? As Esmeralda said, is it real? If you want to be a business owner like Esmeralda and hold multiple, income properties, then do it that way. But if you're looking for a home for your family to live in, then do some diligence.
So let's say this. A lot of people think that builders are going to go away for a good while. And I'm going to tell you why. Because rates are going to stay above 5. That's what that's the news, right? That's what they're saying, right? When you talk about the news and the media. They're also stating that we have over 10 months supply across the country, okay? That tells me, or that's what they're saying, is that the builders, that's a death sentence for builders, right? And so what do you see happening with the builder sector in the next 6 to say 12 months? Are they just going to stop building altogether and just kind of slow down and just say, okay, we're done for right now because we don't have an influx of buyers? Are they going to continue to kind of trickle those properties or those homes in, but not at the same pace? Like what do you think is going to happen with builders? You can kind of speak for every builder. I know you're with KB Home, but talk to me about that.
Well, from your last show, one of the comments was, have you been out to Cadence? And what's the difference you see in Cadence? You look around in a community, you see a bunch of dirt lots. Yeah. You're not seeing a lot of spec homes or move-in ready type homes being built. Why? Because they're adjusting to the market, saying, well, I'm not going to go and spend $250,000 to build a $500,000 home and wait for a buyer to come along and buy it. I'll wait for them to come and get in contract on that dirt and build a home for them. And it may take longer. But what is the fear that people have when it's longer? What are the interest rates going to do? That's why we have, a benefactor of working for KB Home, we have long-term rate locks. Now, not everybody can do those things. And what are the costs of those? Well, certain factors allow us to cover that expense up front. As long as you stay and close with our lender, we'll go ahead and pay that fee for you. You know what I mean? And that saves a person thousands of dollars. And they can have a peace of mind knowing, well, I'm capped at 6% and I've got a 30-day float down. So when I go to close, I can float it down if it's at 5.5, or even 5% and pay a fee and get the interest rate I want.
Here's what I've seen with my clients is that they're so tech savvy and so like into the market right now. Look, the 6-month thing, I'm all for it. Like I would do it. I've advised people that when they're asking me, hey man, should I do it? Of course, like at least entertain it, right? But what they're doing is they do it, and then they're like 3 months out, hey, let's get back and see what is this other lender doing? Can they offer us something better now?
Right.
Did rates come down? And they're like thinking, well, let's do our pros and cons. You know, like maybe I don't get what the builder's giving me, but I get this, or maybe I do take the builders because what I see is still more, you know, it's more profitable for me to maybe get those closing costs or the percentage that they're giving or whatever they're throwing in from the builder's perspective.
But they're not getting it for free. What is free in life? Nothing.
Nothing.
So they don't
That's
realize.
a good point.
They don't understand why those incentives are in place. They're there to get you in the door. Just like when you see lending advertising, 3.9%. Read that fine print. You need an 800 FICO score, 20% down, and a DTI ratio of 30% or less.
Yep.
No, well, I can go to Rocket Mortgage and they've got a 3.9% program. Well, let's see if you qualify for that.
Which nobody really does.
Thank you.
Right.
Then they're
It's
on
a
the hook
teaser.
at 6% already.
Yeah.
They've signed the loan docs. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I get it. So let's talk about KB Home because I want to really promote you here. So
Yes, let's talk about 'em.
What makes KB Home different from other builders? Talk to me.
value. It's value. When you come in the door, it's not car salesman. Well, I can give you lollipops and I can give you this interest rate and I can buy your rate down and I can do all. It's not a bait and switch kind of game. It's you really want a home. You want a real value that's economical as well because it's we're an Energy Star builder that certifies every home we build. So you're going to get a true value. Now, is it challenging the financing side? Yeah, well, we've got some options for that. There's no reason why you can't get in a 10-1 arm and refinance in 5 years when the rates go down, or in 3 years or 2 years. You can do those things. It's affordability on steroids, in my opinion.
Yeah.
To other builders, everybody says, well, I can get my closing costs. I can get a $5,000 incentive for this, but it's a spec home. It's something that's going to close in 45 days. Well, you're going to pay for purple cabinets and green countertops that Andy had that you didn't want.
Right.
Where you're going to build my house on my dirt lot, well, it's going to become yours.
Right.
With the exact things you want in it. And
So-
you're going to pay for only those things.
So let's say the model that you guys go after, like what is your model of, I'm not saying everybody fits in this model, but what style of home do you build and what is that price point of criteria you guys typically go for?
We're one of the most affordable builders in the city.
Really?
My base price is typically lower than almost every other builder in the city. And we're not an incentive game player. You can build a nice home for under $500,000 with us and get a good value. Get an economical home, a well-designed home. One of the comments that I hear all the time of customers when they take them through our models is how much storage there is in the house, how open the floor plan is, how well designed it is. They love our floor plans. And that's a key. When you go and you're looking at all these floor plans and you talk about being tech savvy consumers. Well, yeah, it's easy to pick up a phone and say, oh, I like this house. It's that square feet. It's in this part of town. And they don't have to drive all over like they used to, 15 years ago to look at homes.
Right.
They can now narrow their search in a quick way and go and look exactly what they're looking for. And then they compare, well, what are they doing? And what am I getting over here?
100%.
I get the comparison shopping, but you're not shopping for groceries here. You're shopping for a valued home that you're going to be in for minimum 7 years is whatever the average is. So, or at least 10 years, you should at least plan to be in a home 10 years. Now, if you're a young family, you've got one child, you're planning on growing your family, I get that. Well, that's why a starter home is critical.
Right.
And that's what's been squeezed out of the market. Well, we have affordable homes that a starter family can get started in. Yeah, I get it. The interest rates are up, the prices are up. That's all going to work itself out. Real estate is this. We all know that. We know it better than the consumers do because
Absolutely.
we're in it deep. But I try to educate my buyer that, listen, if you wait, you're going to miss it. Everybody waits, just like the stock market. You buy the dip. Yeah, that's great to buy the dip. Or, you buy it on the low and sell it at the high. Not everybody can do that because you'd have to watch the market every day to do that. And if you're a casual market person like I am, I don't do that. I buy for the long term. I'll spend $1,000, $5,000 and I'll wait 5 years. I don't care because I know that that's going to give me X amount of return.
Dude, this is a very good conversation. I appreciate you coming on. So, again, if you guys need any information, Steve is great. We'll have all of Steve's contact information below. He's done a great job in, just really instructing and giving good information on what's going on with the builder sector. So, one last question before we have to move on. But what do you think? Like I said, you think in builders' position right now, are they going to stay pat and they're not going to do anything for the next 6 to 8 months, or do you think it's going to be because I always look at data, I always look at information. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that this thing's going to turn back around for you guys back in, let's say, first quarter? I mean, it's not that you guys are losing, but it's just not the same market. Let's be honest.
Every builder in the country, top 10 builders or not, are going to adjust to the market.
Yep.
Think about it. If you had the money to go build a house, would you go buy land and build it?
Yeah, of course.
Of course you would, right? But you're going to hedge your bets and do it the most economical way possible. Are you going to adjust to that market that if you're halfway through it and all of a sudden the cost of lumber goes up, are you going to make that adjustment? How are you going to make that adjustment? Are you going to switch to, aluminum timber?
Right.
I mean, so what are you going to do? You're going to make your adjustments. Every developer is going to do that. It's just a matter of when is the market going to settle down?
Absolutely. Well,
until we get inflation under control, I don't know if the market will settle enough for people to have the confidence. I think people are fearful of, are they going to have a job next year? Are they going to be able to put groceries on the table for their family? I just read the other day, diesel fuel's going back up again. Well, guess what that's going to do? It's going to raise everything in the marketplace up. Because what is shipped by diesel? Everything.
Everything.
Every truck on the road.
One last question. Material costs. Do you think that's still going to be a problem heading into 2023?
Yeah, I do. Supply is the issue.
Is it still a problem today?
It's still a problem. Getting supplies are a problem. Maybe if the demand settles down, it might get better. But, these supplies don't come from one place. They come from all over. And if they're coming from places out of the country, look at air conditioning units. You got 4 companies that manufacture most air conditioning units, and some of them are Japanese. You know what I mean? So we're not in a isolated economy anymore. We're in a global economy. And it's tough to get the things you need to make things affordable. Why? Because you get it in one place, you got to ship it to the other, and now gas prices are out of control.
Yeah, gas, shelter. Gas and energy.
Yeah, it's a
CPI,
big squeeze.
It's a big thing right now.
It's a big squeeze.
Really
Look
big
at
thing.
Europe. In Germany.
Yeah, big thing. I want to say this. So you guys want to check him out. Where's your location at, Steve?
I'm at Rainbow and Pebble, 1 block north of Blue Diamond Road.
There you go. You guys need
Copper
to
Ranch.
check him out, man. I went over there. Great location. They got a lot of activity going on over there. And you guys know what time it is right now. It's Taco Tuesday. No, just play. Just play.
I'm hungry too.
We're gonna move over to Mr. Andy Papazian. What's going on, Andy? Talk to us about what's happening. So we all know that the appraisal sector, or the appraisals in general, are now doing a lot of desktop appraisals. What do you think was going to happen with appraisers in general in the next, say, 6 to 12 months? Are they going to be completely out of work?
To be honest, I don't think so. I have not seen a desktop request yet, and that has already passed. I don't know if you guys heard about this.
What is that?
Can
you elaborate?
Yes, basically what it is I'm the appraiser. I would get a request to do an appraisal on a house. So what I would do is I would send someone else, then that person has to be non-licensed. They cannot be an appraiser. I send them out to the house. There's a software that you subscribe to that you pay per use. I forget what it was, like $30 per use or whatever. And this person would go in the house and take pictures in a certain way. And all that data it gets uploaded to me. And then I would do the appraisal without ever having seen the house.
That's crazy.
I wonder what could go wrong with that situation.
Well, I just think that appraisers are not like there's a place for appraisers, right? And you're not going to be able to just cookie cut and just have like a desktop appraisal in every home.
Right.
So I think it's a case by case. I think Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac's got that figured out a little bit. Automated values come in, but I don't know, man. I just feel that it's leaning more and more towards it's going to be all automated appraisals because of the convenience part of it. Isn't there going to be a place for appraisers in the future, though?
I would assume that there is, but right now what they're trying to do is, like I said, they're creating a situation where you have to go and hire somebody that it has to be a non-licensee though. Okay, that's the criteria.
It's not like a BPO, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay,
because the appraiser still does the work. It's just we do it without having looked at the house. So now I have to pay somebody to go out there. I have to pay for the software.
That's scary.
Yeah.
And their big thing is, well, we're not going to reduce the fees. Well, okay, but now I have to pay all these other fees and pay somebody else. So anyways, I have not seen a single request of that yet.
It's kind of like the mortgage industry went to the AUS.
Yeah.
You know, the automated underwriting, and if you can't pass that, you can't get underwritten,
Right.
which is hard.
But, you know, I think there's still going to be a place for an appraiser. I think this may be experimental. I'm not sure how well this is going to play out.
I just think there's a lot of changes in our overall industry. Like when I say that, it's appraisers, you got realtors, lenders, title companies. There's just a
Absolutely,
lot of things. It's always changing. Everybody wants simplicity. It seems
And
like
that's
today.
in our world. You go back east, you've got attorneys doing transactions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's different everywhere in the country, which is ironic
Yeah.
that they make these changes here, but maybe not elsewhere.
Well, I remember years ago, just before the internet became agents were afraid that eventually there's going to be no need for an agent because you can go online, look at the house, look at all the
Yeah.
pictures and stuff. But that never happened. Agents are still around. So
Well, here's the agent's value. I can pitch a lender's value. The agent's value is understanding a market, understanding and really dealing with the changes that goes on internally with personalities, right? And also understanding what's going to get an offer accepted. It's more advising, right, or a consultant. And I think that's how they pitch it, is you're more of a consultant today. It's not, oh, you're going to go out, you're going to put somebody in the back of your car. That does happen.
Sure.
But there's a lot of people out of state that you deal with that says, hey, man, how many realtors do you have going through a house going, hey, let's take a picture of all this, and we're going to do a live, whatever it is as far as the phone and trying to take a look at the house. That happens all the time now. So digital and all these things with like electronics and all these things that we're working with today makes the job a lot easier. So I think you're going to see a more
For the consumer.
for the consumer.
Correct.
But I think you're going to see a more of a consultant role that goes on with these real estate agents.
I'm going to be a consigliere.
Yeah, that's going to be exactly right. I mean, but that's the same with appraisers. I think that the appraisal position in that world is going to be more of a, hey, let me just look over this automated value and make sure that these comps in these areas, what's sold. It's more of a consultant advisory position. You may not have to go out to the house all the time. You might just, you know what I'm saying?
But don't forget that our industry is more of analysis versus consulting. It's all based on doing all kinds of analysis, market analysis,
Yeah.
Comparing homes, making adjustments, and these adjustments are not just pulled out of thin air. So there's a lot of things going on that I'm not sure how this is going to work, but apparently somebody's got to figure it out, so we'll see.
So what do you think is going to happen, though? I mean, you think that it's going to turn, let's say, less or more for the automated value? So is that going to keep coming where you're going to see it more happen, or do you think it's just going to kind of stay where it's at and just experiment?
Well, like I said, this has already passed, but to date I have not seen a single request for that.
When's the last time you've done an appraisal recently?
Today.
Today. So as far as volume, how far has that dropped for you?
50%.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gone down 50%.
50%.
Yeah.
A lot of refis.
Well, the refi business has gone away completely.
Done, right? It's
done.
dead.
It's
Rest in
finished.
peace.
Yeah, because within the last
Rest
within the last 2-3 years, when people were buying and the interest rates were low, 2.5%, who's going to refi at 6%? So that business is gone for now.
If you need to cash out, you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are seeing some cash out refis. We are seeing some
Home equity lines of credit.
equities.
Yeah.
Just some, and that's
Same
that's
old circle.
scary.
Here we
That
go.
is scary. That's
Hey, man,
There we go
I'm
with
hedging
the debt.
against inflation. I'm going to take
Yeah.
out more debt
Right.
so I can hedge against the inflation.
Stop using
No,
your
that-
house as an ATM.
and then walk away. And
Stop
that's what
it.
creates the foreclosure.
Steve, what is
So-
it for, though, man?
It's not for that too. I mean, yeah,
Dude, I
get
gotta
it,
go
but
to
it's not for you.
Disneyland. I got places to be, man. I'm going to that trip to Monaco, or what is it? Across the country. I'm going to Africa next year. So I got things, man.
I get it, but if you've never been, some people get hired in jobs. They say you have to make a minimum of X amount of dollars to work for us because you're going to make a lot of money, and if you're not used to making that kind of money, you might not be able to handle that kind of money.
Well,
so when you get a
Who
house,
says that?
well, there's companies I've interviewed with many companies through my life that have done that, because if you've got $200,000 in equity and you've never had that kind of money before, what do? You go out and you buy that ski-doo, you buy that snowboard, you buy all these things that car you always wanted. You maybe started getting a hobby of rebuilding cars.
I
and
can
you don't realize the
justify
expense
that.
of that. Well, I'm
Dude.
sure you can. I'm sure you can, but if you don't have an income to support that, and now your
Hey.
$200,000 equity line of credit's called in.
I'm 20% year over year increase on appreciation. There's 50% of this
Those
this
days are
population.
gone too.
Do you know that Las Vegas, 50% of people that own a mortgage has 50% equity or more?
Yeah.
That's scary.
That's insane. So that means if you want to go buy a boat, man. You got Lake Mead, you'll find a body, right?
Yeah.
But that's where the fear comes from that you were talking about, is they have that kind of money. What should they do with it? And what are they doing with it? Are they going out and buying homes as investments? I see that a lot. I see a lot of people coming out. You know, they wanted, Esmeralda, how many homes did you have? 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Esmeralda was the queen of homes.
Okay.
She was like, man,
I have friends
the queen of homes.
I have friends that got bid too, had 10, 15 homes, but that was a business. But if you're a homeowner, you're like, well, I got
Yeah.
200,000 equity, I'll go put $50,000 down. I got a little rental home, but then they don't realize the cost of having a rental home, managing a rental home. They don't realize the expense to it. You know, next thing you know, they're getting bit. They get a haircut.
So let's talk real quick, guys. If anybody out there, this is your time, right? We all said Taco Tuesday. You guys want to say Taco Tuesday? I mean,
Taco
Taco
Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday, baby.
There we go.
So that's a good shout out to Timmy here over here. He's all about that Taco Tuesday. So I got to give a shout. But if you guys have any questions on real estate, financing, anything that's going on with the builder, we got KB Holmes. No, I mean Home. What's up, Holmes?
He loves
Right?
talking to me.
Right, I like talking like that. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about what's going on at the real estate lending world right now, you got
Bring 'em on,
new
come
homes,
on.
appraisals. If you guys want to talk about, makeup, we got Esmeralda here as well. So everybody knows this just turned into a. No, but if you guys have any questions, now's the time to do it. Let's see if anybody has any questions really quick here. Come on, people, give me some questions.
Even if it's
man.
not a KB home question, I mean, we're all
give
consumers here.
Give us some questions. I want to run something really quick. Real quick, I want to show you guys that we have. Let's look at the sales price, the average sales price. So Andy brought this up, $465,000, Andy.
Yeah.
So that's how far it's dropped. You brought up
From what year does that start at?
that's just the last year.
The last year.
Yeah.
Could you do maybe like a 5-year projection?
5 year? You mean the last 5 years?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Hold on. Now, does that line go down anywhere below where it started?
Does it go down? No, it's just coming down now.
It's just- right,
but
but-
you got to think that. Look, back in 2021, that's in January,
I understand.
right, of 2021. Look at how far this has gone. This is only what, a year and a half?
So look at from where do you start 5 years ago was what, 2017?
Yeah, so let's say it's right here, 2017, $239,000.
But it hasn't gone down below that.
No, it's just gone up.
So it's not crashing.
No,
It's not dropping so I can wait and get my price, is it?
no, it's not doing any of that.
It's
honestly.
not.
It's not.
So to the buyer that's out there, if you're hesitating in buying, don't hesitate. Look at that line. It's not going to go down. It's only going to keep going up. If it goes down to where it was 5 years ago, we're all in trouble.
Well, one of the things I want to bring up though is that, we talk about the housing affordability and the numbers. What we are seeing though is that you do see that we've had a little bit of a lull position on some of these years, right? Where we're going through, we kind of went and we stopped and came down just a little bit. This is the biggest drop, I would say, of it going up, even though we see it going up over, year over year consistently. I think this is like one of the biggest drops in such a short window of time.
Where's 2019?
Because you got to look at this. So we were peaked out May of 2022. We were at 480,000, and then now we're down at 465.
Right. Where's 2019 though?
2019? Let's
Right
go
there.
back. Yeah, right here.
Okay.
So 300,000.
So even through the pandemic though, prices stayed stabilized, didn't they?
Well, not only did they stabilize, they went up.
Going up,
They started to go up, but why? Supply and demand. You had a supply shortage, so prices increased based on the cost of goods for new homes, I'm only referring to. Plus, you had a lot of people, as Andy said, refi at lower rates. They've got equity building because prices are going up, but they've got really low rates, so they're not throwing their homes on the market. So what keeps happening? You've got people moving in from out of state. Hundreds of thousands of people every year.
Well, I think there's two things that's happened here with that, though, is because of the increase and because people are at home, you had a lot of people that were looking online. Scarcity, supply and demand. There was low supply and a high demand because now you have everybody focused on one thing, which is, okay, we're at home. What do? shoot, should we buy that home? We can all kind of regroup now. It's not like I got to pay my bills and I'm off here and I'm traveling for work, or we're all at home together. Where do you want to live?
That's where builders across the country benefit
Well, I
from.
think it was also that people started really analyzing where they live because if you were working from home. So if it wasn't a home where you were flexible and you had that capability in the room to do it, then you were in a place where you were put in a position where, hey, I can't work because I got all my kids here.
Right.
I got my wife and myself. I'm trying to do Zooms. He's trying to do Zooms. The kids are trying to do Zooms, and we don't have a big enough house to do this. So guess what? We're gonna have to move.
So people's values change. So the change in value now, that change in value is critical because now they see the importance of home life. So it kind of brings it back to why are you buying that home? Am I buying that home because I need to buy now, fear of missing out? Or am I buying that home because I want my family to have the space that if anything ever happens again, I can work in my office, the kids can do their education online. So there's a big value change there.
Yeah.
But it's the demand. The demand just took off.
You have anything to add to that, Andy?
I agree with all of that. That's exactly what's happening. The demand is still there, and like I said earlier, part of the demand is people selling. Let's take California, for example. They can sell a tiny little shack for over
40
$1 million.
years old.
Yeah, and come out here and pay cash basically for maybe half of that, and still have $500,000 in their bank. So the demand is always going to be there. Whether they can qualify or not, that's a different story.
Right.
They may or may not need to qualify, but the demand is what's driving and keeping our prices high.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to concur with that. So let's go back here. We're gonna finish this up here, and then we're gonna answer some questions. So, number of new listings on the market. Let's go back to a year. It's a lot of, but you can see that started to kind of level off or just kind of decline a bit here. 4,800, and then you also have pending sales. Look at that. I mean, you got 1,914 pending sales. Closed sales, that's down, right? And days on the market continues to keep going up. Now, I always look at this, the average days on the market. It's been pretty consistent, about 18 days on the market here. And
Can you separate cash transactions?
So a little bit over 3 weeks.
Yeah, I can do that.
I wonder what the difference is with that.
Well, I can tell you this, that the cash transactions make up only 10% though of the market from what I was reading. So it's not a huge number.
Okay.
Now it does play a part. Everything does, right? Sure. But it's just not it's not going to make that needle just noodle.
So why do you think days on the market is staying low?
It's not going to make it go up.
Right.
Why do you think the days on the market isn't stretching out to normal 60, 90 days?
I think in some pockets it is.
It is actually.
It's
starting to.
I think the average, we're all home sectors, right? You got to think they're looking at per rump. They're looking, some of these sectors are. I think the average, and I don't know like if this is lagging a little bit. Sometimes I feel like it is.
Right.
I do feel that a lot of these homes are starting to hit that 30-day mark. And that's not an unhealthy market.
No, not
right?
at all.
That's actually a healthy market.
It's normal.
Yeah, it's normal. Like 30, 45 days. That's usually what homes sold for in the past. And it's just now we're entering into more of a normal market. So I don't know. Let's take a look at this here. We have a month's supply, and we'll end this here. But 3 months supply, we're at 2.9. We're at 3 months. So again, it continues to go up. People still are paying, I wouldn't say top dollar, but there is some houses out there, not as many, obviously, multiple offers.
Is that single family residence only?
Yeah, it's well, that's all properties. If
That's
you want
all.
to do, if you want to do single family residence, we're still at, this is single family residence, excuse me.
All right, good.
So you look at that though, and people are going to now take their time. Like that home that has all those inspection problems, I'm out of there, right? I'm going for the house that has everything in place, no problems.
Warranty,
Warranty,
KB Home,
yeah.
Copper Ranch.
There you go.
There
It's
you go.
just
Come and
all
see
the
me.
fixins,
Energy
meat,
efficient.
potatoes. It's got the dessert, everything with it,
Everything's there.
right? So, anyways, let's go over here. I want to do this real quick. One last thing. So let's answer some questions. You guys want to help me answer some questions over here?
Absolutely.
All right, let's answer some questions. So let's start at the top. Let's see here. They said, I don't know who this one is, but let's do. So it just really depends on the buyer's category you're talking about. And then we got one here, Calvin. Anyway, to get your earnest money deposit, ask sales agent to send me termination contract 2 months ago. He stalled thinking I would change my mind. He just texted me today and says 0 refund. And seller will keep my 12K deposit for that info. Can you talk to us about that? I mean, as far as like what happens during that process? Or is that
People sign contracts that they don't know what they're signing sometimes. And I'm not saying this gentleman or person is that kind of person, but you're agreeing to terms when you're in a contract, whether it's a 30-day close or 9-month close. You're agreeing to terms that you're both buyer and seller are agreeing to uphold. And if you're past a date line or a deadline that says, oh, in the Nevada state NRS statutes, you have a 5-day right of rescission to pull out and get your money back based on your diligence to read CC&Rs, any kind of disclosures that will change your mind in buying a home anywhere in the state. So if you don't follow those terms that you agreed to, why do you expect it to be any different 6 months from now or 3 months from now?
I think it's like this too. If you have an agent that has, I'm not going to say a relationship, but if you have an agent that's going to go to bat for you, you're not going to get your money back every time. But I've gotten money back for people that did that where it was still in the due diligence
New
period.
homes or resales?
New homes.
Okay.
Resale too. I mean, you're in the 10-day due diligence usually on a resale, but new homes, it's like I think there's like a 5-day.
5-day right of rescission.
You have to actually come to the bat and help them. And here's the thing. I had it at 7 days. She's like, hey, I'm on. So I had to call and plead. I'm like, listen, her mom is going to now live with her. Can't have a 2-story home. It's got to be one. Like I was making everything up, and this lady's just like, oh, really? Okay. So then I got the money back. So that doesn't happen though every time. You got to be kind of creative, right? You're signing a contract. You're signing a contract, right? Hey, I'm just saying that's kind of what I did. I didn't know if it would work. I was just playing it up. And this lady, man, was like, hey, you know what? You send us some stuff. You send us leads in business. They did it. That doesn't mean it's going to work every time though. You got to have somebody that understands a little bit and kind of paints that picture. But I mean, what are you going to say next time? And everybody can't use that excuse.
I can only say in my years of experience, there's one-offs. There may be that, the pandemic was a perfect example of that. So many people were in contract when the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And many people lost their jobs, but how far into contract were they? I can only answer for myself as a consumer. If I was in a position where when I bought my first KB home many years ago, it was right before 9/11.
Yeah.
When 9/11 hit, I was scared to death.
Yeah.
And I thought of pulling out. And I didn't mind walking away from $60,000 at the time because I didn't know what the future held. But you have to be willing to, like you go to a gambling table or a slot machine, you have to be willing to risk whatever you're putting up. Mm-hmm. That if you change your mind past any due diligence period, you may risk losing that money. If you're not willing to take that chance, don't buy a house.
So I got another question here. Let's keep going here. Let's see. It says, what are your thoughts? Let me see. I'm trying to go through here.
Everybody wants the upside. They don't want the downside.
Well, there's always a pros and cons, right? All that equity is quickly diminishing. I wouldn't say it's diminishing. I would say it's less than what it was. It's not increasing as fast as it was, right?
What was a normal market equity increase? 3 to 4% a year?
It's 2 to 3%, right?
Okay, so now you've got 20%.
Right.
Why are you complaining?
Right, and even if it does decline 10%, 8%, whatever, you're still above.
Right.
You're still coming out of profit.
It's the fear of what happened long ago.
Exactly.
People fell underwater, and they're fearful they're going to be underwater again.
So we got another question here. I'm always interested in mid-century modern flips, big property kinds of places. It says McNeil Scotch 80s. Will Clark County stop ADU structures if use it as an office on my property? I'm not sure what he means by that.
Well, the additional dwelling unit is so if you had a mother-in-law quarters in the back, you want to convert a garage in the back of a half an acre home.
It's got to be permitted.
Well, yeah, they allow the ADUs, but are they going to do away with them is what I think the question is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think they'll do it?
I think it's horrible to do that, but
yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity for people to have home ownership and have a second revenue stream to support the mortgage on the home like that. But you're talking a very slim margin of the market probably.
So we got another question here, and this is from Tony. One thing, I don't want to jump around, but Gonzalo said agents will be considered only realtor concierge, like the top concierge at the Las Vegas hotels. Well, yes. Look, we all know that things are getting more simplistic, but you still got to understand the contract. You still got to understand what somebody's willing to take. You have a relationship with somebody on the other side. I think there's also some really some legality things that could come back and bite you if you don't know how to write a right contract, right?
Absolutely.
And I think it's not just, hey, we're going to sign here and here and you're like it's not like, hey, we're going to put this out. You got to kind of know what's going on. I mean, you have to be. I think there's a stigma out there that agents get a bad rap. Like, oh, it's just not that important of a job. Look, I can say that there's pros and cons, but I can say that looking at being an agent, you still have a lot of other layers that people never see. Like, you never see the process behind the scenes, talking with somebody, writing up the contract, knowing if you wrote it right, if there's something that could come back and haunt that person as a client. Again, I think there's just a lot of everything's easy. It's not as easy as people think. If it was easy, why are only like the top 20% making any money in real estate and all the other 80% are not doing well? It's because it's a very hard, challenging position, and you're dealing with a lot of people's emotions. You're dealing with a lot of people's different perspective on money they want to invest into. It's not easy. And look, part of it's sales, part of it, there's a lot. So I don't know.
Especially in the resale market, that's where I think you're paying the price for that professional representation, is that so many things can be negotiated in a resale contract that if you don't have that realtor representing you to know the nuances of that negotiation and knowing what's in writing and what can hurt you, then you're not getting a service.
Well, here's what I say too.
Developer contracts, they're hardened as they don't change. There's no negotiating on a contract in a developer. Any developer in town, I don't care where you go. There's no, let's amend that. Unless the seller is amending it, it doesn't get amended. Well, I want to cross this line out and I want to add this to the contract. That doesn't happen in new development.
So let's talk about this. I think that when you look at a real estate agent today, the challenges are still there. And I don't know, for me, people have to see your value. Like, you can't go into something and be like, hey man, I'm here and I'm just trying to get what I want. I get it, but you got to see somebody's value, or else don't work with them. It doesn't mean you got to work with them. And I think a lot of people out there that are look, there's a lot of smart people out there. We get it, but you also understand that some people are in the trenches every day and they're dealing with stuff. Just because you went and read an article, are you writing contracts?
Right.
Are you out there actually in the trenches doing these things with these agents? No, you're not. I'm not saying you don't have an input. I'm just saying you got to walk in somebody's shoes to understand what they go through before you start making judgment.
Right.
And I think that's the part of it.
That's right. Yep.
So let's go into something else here. Let's go into this one. It says agents will be, okay, let's go to this one. I'm always interested. We already read that. Tony said, what are the thoughts on QT increasing to 95 billion monthly in September, and Powell reiterating is targeting a Fed's fund rate above 4% and holding long-term to reset the housing market? I mean, I agree. I mean, I think that's the objective. I mean, you look at this housing market and it's still not slowed down enough. So I feel that they're going to continue to do the things that they need to do and pull the levers to pull to keep the inflation coming down and also keep the housing and rents coming down. I mean, do you guys have an opinion on it?
I can see rents coming down. Rents are a private business. And when you're paying 2-3 times what a house used to cost, you cannot charge what, rents used to cost back then. So it all has to go with, how much down payment you've put in, what's your monthly payment. Again, nobody's going to buy a house to lose money on it. Right?
They're
Especially
not.
on the rental.
Yeah, they're not. They're not going to lose money. But for me, I'm looking at it going, the Fed is trying to accomplish one thing, right? And that is, above all, slow the economy down. So what he's saying is that they're going to continue to go that route. He even made another comment here about potentially rates going to 7%. I'm not going to say that's off the table. Again, what I read and what I know of what I've seen is that they're potentially going to raise the Fed's fund rate. That's just my opinion. Will rates continue to go up? I believe they will, right? Yeah. But I think they're going to settle back at the long term, at the end of all of this, right? Where all of this thing kind of settles out, the dust settles around 5%. That's kind of what I'm thinking. What do you guys think? Do you guys think rates are going to continue to go up to 7%?
Well, even if they do, at some point they're going to level out and maybe even come down. They're not going to stay up there. That's not sustainable.
Yeah, but they will. They could hit 7%.
Yeah, they could, sure.
They could.
Sure.
I just think the long term is they're going to settle around that 5%. You're not going to see, I don't feel you're going to see those rates unless they really buy into the bonds again, where those rates are back to 2 to 3%.
No, they're not.
I don't ever see that happening
No, that
unless
won't
they
happen.
really get involved.
They may have to if we keep throwing more money into the economy, though.
Absolutely.
There's way too much. That's what inflation's all about.
Sure.
You know, we did all this stimulus to save an economy, and now everybody's got all this money, equity, cash, everything, and there's the spending frenzy that took place is overheating.
Well, we don't know if it's going to be up to 7. We're just speculating based
Right.
on what we hear that it's going to go up at some point. We don't know how much or when.
Well, the basic economics say that you have to continue to raise that lending rate to a point where it is either meets or exceeds the inflationary rate in order to slow it down. That's just the basic economics of it. Is it going to work? Who knows? You know, anything can happen. And but that's the basic economics of it. And for the feds to have to do that, they have to stop buying bonds and things like that in order to be able to do that. Otherwise, they're going to take a loss and we're going to collapse.
I mean, one last question you had here, and we got to end the show because we went way above or way beyond what I wanted to go. Do you feel that the prices of homes are going to head back down to, he's asking, the mid 2020 price ranges? I don't know if it's going to go that far. I mean, we could look at that. Let's see what that is. I mean,
There's so many factors that determine
there's
that.
a lot of factors, but let's see what the sales price is back. So he's talking maybe 400,000. You know,
No.
maybe actually less than that. Yeah, about 400,000. You guys don't think that that's going to happen?
No.
No.
You don't think so?
I don't
Why
think
not,
so.
Andy?
It just it can't. It can't. It's too high up right now to receive that kind of a drop.
Yeah, what he's saying, and that's a good point, is that he's saying that the rates are going to stay that high to slow the economy, where the prices are going to come down in the mid 2020 price ranges, right? So you're going to see those price ranges come back. I don't know. I think
What happened in the mid-20s?
well, the 2021.
What happened? Oh,
He's saying-
2021 or 2020?
2021. He's saying that
Okay.
it's 400,000. That's what he thinks is going to happen, is that rates are going to go up to 7, and then in 2021 prices are going to keep coming down because the
Mortgage rate or Fed rate?
the mortgage rates are going to go
Mortgage
there.
rates.
Yeah,
Yeah, they can go to 7.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think prices should
It might
level
hover
out,
up there.
Yeah.
But
I think there's some facts to that. I think the data that we see in the next 30, 60 days, especially after this next meeting, is going to determine a lot more of what's going to happen.
Right, sure.
I really feel that. And then we can kind of get a better picture and like say, okay, we see what's happening here. They got the data. This is what they're planning to do. Inflation's still not where it's at. This is where we're headed. I think, like I said, fourth quarter is not going to be very good. It's never that great anyways. People are vacationing or they're in, doing
Holidays, all
holidays
kinds
and
of
stuff.
stuff.
But I think heading into the next quarter of the first quarter of 2023, we're going to start to see this thing come back. I wouldn't say full circle. I would just say you're going to start to see a lot more activity. Again, what do I get? People are like, hey, 6-8 months. I want to see what's going to happen. I want to see if this thing's going to crash. I want to see what rates are going to do. So you guys have anything else to say here? Esmeralda.
I just say stay tuned. Anything can happen and anything can change, and this is a place you're going to find out.
Yeah. How about you, Andy?
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And there's a lot of factors out there, so it's really difficult to speculate.
Yeah.
So we have to sit back and see what's happening.
Mr. KB Holmes, Mr. Steve.
Come and see me. Now's the time to buy.
You got anything else to say about this market? Nothing, man.
I think we've kind of said as much as we can right now. There's just so much that influences the market that can change on a dime like it just did in June and July.
If you guys have any questions, please reach out to me. All my comments are not comments, but all my information is in the comment section. Make comments in the comment section. Also, come over here, and if you guys are looking for a great home to buy or looking for a home to buy, great website to get started is the lvhomeprofessionals.com. I've had a lot of people come here. You got new homes. You got homes that are coming on the market that are actually reduction in prices, right? And it's a great place to get started. It gives you all the details. It really breaks down what's out there, which is, like I said, over 11,000 homes here in Las Vegas. Again, I'm your host, Dan French. Please like the channel, subscribe. We have a lot of people that are looking at this right now. Please like that channel. Give us some love. I need subscribers. We'll see you guys on Saturday. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching the French Workbench Podcast. You can find us here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. to find out all the information on real estate and financing here in Las Vegas. Also, check us out on our LV Home Professionals website. You can find your future home there, a lot of good information, and you can find us on audio only